Shall we have a Skallagrim update, Skallagrim video, if you will? Not sure I can do this anymore, but I'm not giving up yet. We're going to see what's going on from a fellow YouTuber.
Why is he talking about martial arts? He looks like he's never lifted more than a sandwich.
All right, take 6. This is an uncomfortable video to make, and no matter how I approach and formulate it, I'm unhappy with it. There might be some kind of benefit in it, or there might not be. I don't know. I just don't know what else to do. Okay, so the problem is things have gotten a lot more difficult. And by things, I mean fixing both what's going on with my channel and myself. I'll put timestamps in here, so if you don't feel like sitting through a rant or listening to me whine, if that's how you want to put it, you can skip ahead or you can skip the entire video. I don't fucking care, okay? I just need to process this and get it off my chest and ask for help, I suppose.
Which is completely fair, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of creators on this platform, right? Even Russian Badger mentioned that he was having issues with monetization specifically on this platform. Well, I don't know what this video is. I'm assuming, as he mentioned channel, it might be something due to that. And as well as the comment we opened up with, I mean, it feels like people are, you know, being just generally negative. I mean, Skallagrim is a household name as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's one of the only people that does the content that he does. Not that he's the only one, right? But I mean, I think of sword content, I think of Skallagrim first in my brain. So I think this is completely valid.
As well. So, I've gone through these phases a number of times when the views are down and ad revenue's in the toilet, and everything I try to do to fix it doesn't work. It's just never been this low and this difficult. You know, after 15 years or whatever of doing this on YouTube, my mentality is if stuff doesn't work, if the views are down, it's my fault. I got to make the videos better. I got to make it more engaging. My editing's got to be better. I got to put more oomph into it. I don't know. I got to pick better topics.
Exactly. As someone it's way smaller than Skallagrim, I do see the exact same thing. For example, we posted some Russian Badger Fortnite reactions, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, so why does, you know, Thonking Thatcher versus How to Battle Royale, why is one doing better than the other, right? Is it something that I'm doing? Hence why I have a new mic setup and going. This completely makes sense from a YouTubing perspective. If something isn't received well, we want to know, okay, we have this drive where we want to do something better. You know, we want to do, you know, what we can. You know, sure, while it's monetarily motivated in some capacity, it's not entirely monetary motivated, right? We want to make sure that we're entertaining people. We want people to be happy. We want people to interact with us, right? We want to make sure we're being entertainers.
That people are more interested
informative,
in, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't seem to work anymore. YouTube has changed the game. It has done so a bunch of times.
Okay.
So far, I've adapted, I suppose, even though I really just keep doing the same thing. I don't know, definition of insanity, right? I guess now the way to play the game is making a shit ton of shorts, which
as a creator, and this is something that's been in the works, unfortunately, yes, shorts are kind of where the metagame is. Shorts right now, and it's not, and yes, you can cite the arguments of, well, the attention span has decreased, I can't remember, it was something like, 10-20%. Someone would have to cite the study. It was a study in the past several years that showed a drastic decrease from the prior decade in attention span. Shorts are just popular. It's very easy to pop on in. It's very easy to get the information you're going to need. And it's very easy to get out, right? You know, at me even going on TikTok now for me, right? Which currently the TikTok that I was using before is not the official TikTok. I'm working on that. Anyways, moving on. No, shorts are definitely where the metagame is at for viewers. As far as, I think it's even, allegedly, there's actually more subscribers that come from shorts versus long-form content. Don't get me wrong. There are places for, and I've watched them, like 12-hour Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion reviews. I have sat through and watched them. And they have their place. However, I would argue for your average consumption, it is going to be shorts now. People's lives are busier, right? We talk about every day how in your daily life, you know, you're having less and less time to do things, right? You know, things you used to, like, you know, have some friends come on over on a Friday, cook some steaks. Well, you can't even imagine that now because life is so hectic. You know, you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? In your brief moments you have free, right, you're going to be going to shorts. So I can, at least from what little research I put into it, and what Skallagrim is clearly substantiating in some capacity, right? Shorts are where the metagame is.
I'm really not a fan of the vertical format is horrible in terms of cinematography and it's not really my style. I've even seen channels with over 3 million subscribers and more that say their views are down. So I'm not in a unique position by any means, nor am I telling you this to get sympathy points or whatever bullshit, nor does this mean that I'm about to quit.
I do like this clarification. For clarification, not that Skallagrim's ever going to watch this, right? Large, love this man. Not that you're going to see it say it didn't come across as such. I do appreciate the clarification, though. I mean, that's awesome.
It's precisely because I'm passionate about this, because this is what I want to do. This is what I'm enjoying the most. This is what I want my full-time job to be like.
Yes.
So I'm not willing to go down without a fight. So I want to just fix it. I just don't know how.
Yes.
And that leads me to the other problem, which is basically the same issue, which is, I can't fix this.
Yeah.
The thing is,
as somebody that's struggling with weight, I'm struggling with weight. Like, I get it. I get it.
People lately have been posting a bunch of comments, pretty rude comments, but whatever. It's random strangers on the internet. What can you expect? About how fat I've gotten. And I don't really know why suddenly. I've been like this for 3 years. What I suppose is difficult to understand.
First of all, his form is amazing. I want to make that abundantly clear. Like, the way he's swinging, he's nothing short of chef's kiss.
About all this is that the entire time, for these past 3 years, I've been trying to get back on track. I hope I'm back on track. I'm a little skeptical because I've said that twice before already. It used to feel like I'm flipping a switch inside my head. And from then on it went. But I've had that twice now, recently, and didn't change yet. So here's another push. I have not given up. That's what it looks like, obviously, because there hasn't been any long...
I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, what he's doing, this man is fit. I could not do that.
Term success. I've had short-term success and then, major regression over and over and over again. It's infuriating. So in order to understand this, which I can't expect you to understand, and there's no reason why you should bother, because this is just my personal issues.
I would argue it is our duty. I don't know if the duty is the right word. I would argue it is our prerogative to understand, right? We as humans get better by understanding each other, by communicating to each other. Yeah, there's a lot of humans that aren't nice to each other. Yeah, there's a lot of humans that are good to each other. I mean, it's a mixed bag with humans, let's be real. I mean, clearly you feel strong enough to make this video, and I mean, I'm going to sit here and, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to do my best to understand. I'm incredibly small in comparison. I'm not looking for brownie points. I'm not looking for notoriety, anything like that, right? Skallagrim Senpai noticed me, that kind of thing. No, I'm not. I think this is one of those things that I've looked at. I've kind of written off, hey, maybe this isn't going to get the most views, but you know what? This is doing what I as a brand want to be doing, reaching out to people. That's why I rebranded as Kip, right? Reaching out to people, understanding people, seeing from their point of view, what they like, what they don't like, what their stressors are, what makes them feel better, right? And I think these are conversations that need to happen, especially in an age where people don't talk to each other anymore. I feel strongly enough about this that, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to listen. I'll have input for transformative reasons, obviously. But, I feel more people do need to do that, to take a minute to sit and hear and listen, and understand where other people are coming from.
And my personal life is none of your business, really, but it is relevant for this. Because even though this is not a fitness channel or anything,
no,
I definitely understand how it undermines my credibility to talk about historical armor, in particular martial arts. Like, people are looking at this fat nerd like,
why is he talking about martial arts? He looks like he's never lifted more than a sandwich.
Never mind the...
Okay. So in regards to people and their misconceptions on fat, have you ever seen a Scotsman that's barrel-chested? That motherfucker will actually just yeet you across a field, right? But, he's gonna look fat on the surface, right? Oh, he's gonna look like he's large. Oh, he's gonna look like he doesn't exercise. Mate. Tell that to him after he yeets the telephone pole across the field, okay? Like, misconception galore, right? You know, and obviously there's the popular Asmongold bit about, you know, how his quote-unquote fat shaming. I'm not going to get into too much of that here. There's a whole rabbit hole on that, right? You know, yeah, no, there are people that genuinely it is a lifestyle choice. However, there are people that it is a thyroid issue. There are issues that can lead to that. For everybody, it is a unique situation, right? Me, I can acknowledge I live a sedentary lifestyle. There's a reason I've gotten fat, for lack of a better word, right? I still go out to SCA. I still do what I can when I can, right? You know, just because you're on the internet looking at people that doctor their appearance. Factually, people do doctor their appearance. If you're live, you got to think about your hair. You got to think about how you're presenting clothes-wise. You don't want to look like you're wearing a bed sheet, right? You don't have to necessarily wear a tux, but you have to wear something nice, right? You have to be visually appealing. Maybe you're applying eyeliner. Maybe you're applying makeup. Maybe you're doing your eyebrows. Maybe you're doing your nails, right? You got to make sure you got your ring light on. Your lighting's all good. Got to make sure you're soundproofing. All of these things go into content creation because of how you show and express yourself to your audience. Me, as a VTuber, right? Like, you know, as this model, I don't have to, you know, necessarily make sure my hair is done a certain way. I don't have to make sure that I look a certain way, right? I generally show up after I shower, right? And I'm dressed and I'm ready to go, right? Because it makes me feel better in a work environment, right? But, you know, so yeah, you have people, as a general, will have misconceptions on people because of how doctored up appearances can be over the camera, right? You know, and just because you're seeing this all day, that doesn't make you the expert. As far as I'm looking at Skallagrim, dude could take me in a fight, quote unquote, right? Like SCA style, like obviously regulations, like what he's doing, right? Like medieval combat reenactment, right? That's what I mean by fight specifically, right? Dude could run circles around me all day. No cap, right? You know, and sometimes that's all it is. That's all it needs to be, right? Sometimes you don't have to be this Navy SEAL, Jack Krauser, you know, I'ma do this kind of thing, right? You don't have to be that. And honestly, for Special Forces, don't they pick certain genetic markers that people have to even qualify for certain Special Forces programs, right? I think there's an incredible misconception where people think you have to be this apex condition. Bodybuilders, for example, right? Bodybuilders go through a metric ton of calories in a day, right? You have to actually diet for that. I can't afford that. Like, that meal plan would actually bankrupt me. And you know what? Some people want to go for the bodybuilder lifestyle. Absolutely, and that is 100% their prerogative. Absolutely feel free to do that. You know, it's when you start shaming other people that, you know, I guarantee you these people making these comments probably can't even do push-ups. Guarantee you they're not going to be able to go out in full heavy armor. Back at SCA this weekend, I went out in full armor. Where we did do reduced armor rules, they said it was okay. They gave the go-ahead. People started taking off layers of armor. I still sat in my tin can. I still sat in my armor and was ready to go fight in rapier, right? You know, these people couldn't do that. These people can't do this in 90-plus degree weather. Just grow up. These commenters need to grow up.
The fact that I learned most of what I know about swordsmanship when I looked like this. But for the majority of the time on this channel, I've been some level of chubby or fat or whatever. When I started out, I looked even worse. I've gone through several phases of up and down. In order to understand this mess, there's a certain context. And because I know how trying to converse with random strangers on the internet generally works, let me clarify. What I'm about to tell you is not meant as excuses. Okay. The way I see it, I don't have excuses, I have difficulty modifiers. You know, when you start the new game plus and you want it to be more challenging, you add modifiers like enemies do more damage, you do
Skulls in Halo, right? You put on catch, enemies are throwing more grenades. You put on like fog, right? Fog, your radar's disabled, right? Iron, right? If you die while solo, you restart the mission, or if you die while in co-op, you just go to the last checkpoint. Everybody goes to the last checkpoint.
Do less damage, you have less health, blah, 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 whatever the hell. That's kind of how I see this, which means it's more difficult, but it's not a reason to stop trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having gotten that out of the way. So what are those difficulty modifiers? A big one is eating disorder, food addiction. Some people will vehemently and ignorantly deny that food addiction is real. It is.
I mean, they can be wrong. If they want to be wrong, they can be wrong. As somebody that has lived with people that are anorexic, somebody has seen people that are bulimic, 100% real. Get bent. Like, I know I'm a brand that wants to be focused on positivity. If you're going to vehemently deny things that are factual, I'm sorry, get bent. Like, yeah, no, base Skallagrim on this one.
Absolutely real. What's the nature of an addiction? It causes you to do things that you know are contrary to your goals, that you know will make you feel terrible, both physically and mentally, in the long run, and that you've told yourself you're not going to do.
Yeah.
And you're doing it anyway.
This is some people with gambling, right? So people with gambling disorders, right? Or I say gambling addiction, excuse me. Right? If they go to Vegas, right, and they start seeing craps being rolled, they see people calling on roulette, right? You see people playing blackjack, maybe, right? You know, it's gonna get that certain itch going, right? There's a reason that, you know, ex-gamblers and stuff, they don't, you know, if they're trying to avoid it, they just don't go to the casino altogether, right? As far as a specific point in my lifetime when I wasn't in a very good situation, there was a period of time where I was addicted to conflict. Not in like a physical way, right? I was addicted to conflict in that something had to keep going in my brain, right? And this is also, keep in mind, this is under a very specific situation with manipulation, and this was more of a, if I don't do this, something is... Understand that has a lot to it. When I say addicted to conflict, that is trying to debunk very toxic behaviors I was being subject to, and I have since moved on from, and now I can actually feel like I can relax because I'm not in a situation that I feel like I'm being just mentally just effed over every single day. So understand that there's a deeper conversation that at face value, when I say addicted to conflict, it's like, you know, trying to make sure that my morals are still being kept, and that that's really way deeper than I was intending it to, actually. Just understand that there was a lot more to that, and it was not physical. In fact, I was the one that actually got physically assaulted in that situation. No, like, gambling and other addictions are awful if they take hold.
There's this meme, you know, when you stand at a cliff and suddenly your brain is like, jump. Mm-hmm. Except addiction is sort of like thinking, oh, that's silly, walking away from the cliff. Meanwhile, you feel the strong urge to sprint towards the edge of the cliff and jump as far as you can. And while you're still thinking, I would never do that.
I would argue those are just intrusive thoughts. I mean, a lot of people can have those. This is an example of intrusive thoughts, right? You want to go throw a shopping cart at a wall, right? Are you necessarily going to do that? No, why would I do that? That's stupid. Intrusive thought. You've won. Your actions have dictated that you are better than your intrusive thoughts.
You find yourself going into a sprinter stance facing the cliff, and you think, oh no, I'm not going to do that. There's a cognitive side where you're aware that what you're doing is wrong, sabotages your goal, you need to stop, you want to stop, but then there's this overwhelming primal urge, this strong motivational power in the moment to do the thing that you told yourself you're not going to do again.
Yeah.
You're never unmotivated. You're always motivated towards something.
Yeah.
You may not be motivated to eat healthy and exercise, but that doesn't mean you're unmotivated. You have a strong motivation to do the opposite. It's not all doom and gloom. There are ways to break the pattern, develop better habits.
Did you guys know that I was literally addicted to Destiny 2 at the launch of Lightfall? Like, the last 3 or so weeks of Season of Defiant into Lightfall, I was addicted to Destiny 2. I actually put off content because of it. I actually didn't do certain things because of it, right? It, for all intents and purposes, was the game I played from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. You know what actually broke that? Their servers. Bungie's servers eventually just made me be like, you know, why am I playing this game if I, in the middle of a raid, can just kicked out of the game? Which, a game should never take as much priority as it does in that specific situation. Like, I can acknowledge me playing Destiny for as long as I did was a problem. It's ironic that their server instability was what actually broke that addiction. And here I am making content. Here I am going 2 hours into the stream already.
And claw your way out of an addiction. It'll never leave. It'll never, ever go away. It's an ongoing struggle. The important part is that you don't give up. It's just, I understand that it's really confusing to look at this from the outside and be like, why doesn't he stop? Why doesn't he put the goddamn food down? Okay, so the other difficulty modifiers are predominantly inattentive ADHD and generalized anxiety. I say predominantly inattentive because it's not the hyperactive kind of boundless energy ADHD. It's a lethargic, no energy, no motivation kind of ADHD.
Yeah.
And energy has been a problem for as long as I remember. I've been to so many doctors, they've run so many different tests, so many things have been checked, I've done so many different diets, I'm supplementing. Nobody knows what's wrong with me, and neither do you, by the way. Before you start giving me a bunch of unsolicited advice based on the most recent diet fad or whatever, I appreciate the positive intentions, but you don't know me. He
is 100% correct here. People in the comments aren't going to know him. His friends might know him, right? I would argue his friends would. His family, his chosen family, they would know him a little better. Me as a random on the internet, and honestly, I wouldn't even have any unsolicited advice, right? I get what it's like to be neurodivergent, in my own brand of neurodivergency. I totally get it. I get what it's like to just want to lay in bed all day. That being said, I would feel incredibly irresponsible saying, Skallagrim, have you tried this? Well, I don't know him. I don't know his situation. I don't know his brand of neurodivergency, because if he's bringing up ADHD, I would assume neurodivergency at the very least, right? And if not, I do apologize. That is on me. I do apologize for that. It's inappropriate for me to give unsolicited advice that I know nothing about, especially if, the new fad diet, right? Okay, where's your testing on this? Where's your results? Where's all of your logistics for this, right? Where's the science to back this up? Is there any peer-reviewed studies for this? Who's recommending this, right? What's the composition of it, right? There's so many things that can go into this. And at the end of the day, someone in the comments who's just going to come in and type, oh, you look like a whale, right? And that's their only passing comment. For some reason, this is the only joy people get in their lives, right? This is their whole driving force to go on YouTube and leave these comments, right? Is not going to care about the after effect of that, right? They're going to leave that comment, and regardless to whatever Skallagrim may bring to the contrary, there are some people that are just going to go, oh, well, I don't care about that. I'm going to move on, do my thing. Cool. Why leave the comment then? I don't know. It seems like a waste of effort to me. No, I can empathize. I can say that. I feel I would be professionally out of character and out of place, and arguably in the wrong if I were to even recommend anything, which I'm not. I don't know him. Now if for some reason he asks somebody, hey, what do you recommend, right? Then a discussion can ensue. But as far as we're aware, this channel is closed to everybody he doesn't want to talk to, which is completely fair, healthy, and reasonable as a boundary.
You haven't seen my blood work, you don't know my lifestyle, you don't know anything other than what I'm telling you right now, which is really not a whole lot. For all I know, the problems with low energy and feeling like garbage much of the time could be caused entirely by my poor sleep, which
could be.
I also don't know what's causing that, and I've been trying to fix that, and it doesn't work either. It's easy to jump to the conclusion that I feel like shit because I look like shit, but I also look like shit because I feel like shit.
And also correlation does not always equal causation. People like to forget this.
And I didn't feel much better at my most fit. I mean, yes, it wasn't quite as bad, but one of the main problems of this whole journey is before I was able to motivate myself by thinking, okay, once I get to this goal, once I get to a certain weight, to a certain fitness level, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be feeling so much better. That wasn't the case.
Nope.
I was constantly tired.
If I don't seem terribly enthusiastic or anything, apologies. I'm just destroyed from the workout today. I'm just barely hanging in.
Constantly aching.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably overtrained, in all fairness. And it's such a sobering, disillusioning realization to be like, okay, I've accomplished this goal, but there's not the reward that I was seeking. I didn't get the muscle gains I was trying so desperately to get.
I will interject here to say sometimes genetic, and I'm not saying I know Skallagrim's situation. This is from conversations I've had with other people and their situations and extrapolating upon that. I do know that sometimes genetics can play a part in that. So, for example, I have a buddy who goes to SCA, and notoriously they cannot strengthen their wrist, right? And even then, you're going to get people in the comments of chat right now, or maybe comments on video. Well, has he tried this? Has he tried this? X, Y, Z, A, B, C. Yes, he has tried that. He has tried all of those. He has tried dieting. Yes, just for sake of argument, he has run everything that he could. It does come down in his case to a lot of genetic factors, right? And that can play a part in a lot of things. Is it always the case? No. Is it sometimes the case in an explanation? Yes. How do you deal with it? How do you go forward from there? So you know what my buddy does? He does a lot more wrist work when he does rapier work, right? Maybe he'll, because he's a cloak, he twirls around as his offhand defensive implement, right? He'll do work with that. You know, he does things to help supplement, but also recognizes that it's a weakness of his. And that's completely fine because he's able to work with it and still be a damn good fighter.
Which led to a bunch of injuries because I got to the point where I was so stubborn. I was so frustrated by hitting such a massive plateau that I just powered straight through it despite more and more aches and pains until eventually I injured my rotator cuff, which put me out of commission for a year, and I was in constant pain, and it's still a problem. It's crunchy, and like certain movements will immediately send pain in there, and it'll spasm. And the reason why all this preoccupies me so much, and it's such a major deterrent, is anxiety.
Yeah.
That's not something...
I don't wish anxiety on my worst enemy. There are people that I genuinely do not ever want to be around it again. I do not wish anxiety on them. Anxiety is awful. It's oppressive. It's omnipresent. It's not pleasurable in any way, shape, or form. To be there at thinking at 2, 3 a.m. about just randomly, finances, content, coworkers, not being able to sleep because you're having nightmares about when I was back in finance, doing finance, right? When you're waking up in the middle of the night because you're having a conversation as if you're on the phone, when you're not even at the phone, you're trying to sleep, right? Like, I get it. Anxiety is an absolute pain, and I don't wish it on anybody.
Something that everybody takes so harshly. Necessarily. I've definitely seen people bounce back from injuries and be like, yeah, I got messed up, but I got better and I made adjustments. But when you have anxiety on top of it, there's just always this voice that takes all the available evidence and it's like, see, and this is why you're a useless piece of shit who will never accomplish anything worthwhile.
Can relate. I can absolutely relate to this.
All of this has been a problem for as long as I've been alive. But now that I've accumulated a bunch of chronic injuries and am in my 40s, it's twice as hard as it was. Again, no excuses. I'm not giving up, okay? And this is where I'm trying to turn it into something more positive. I think I need help. The last time I went through all this and lost a bunch of fat and became more fit, I didn't do it all by myself. I was with a HEMA school, Blood and Iron Victoria, at the time. And there's one benefit of social anxiety in particular. It makes you less willing to commit to situations where you're training in a group. But once you have committed to it, there's always this voice in your head when you're like, oh, I feel like absolute garbage today. I really don't want to go to class. And then this little anxiety voice is like, yeah, but you skipped class last time. You're going to look like a lazy, worthless slacker. And I definitely push myself harder when training with others. It's a worse experience because the stress level is higher and it's miserable, but it works.
Yeah.
So I might have to commit again to, there is a HEMA school here. I've just been avoiding it because I absolutely despise the idea of the way I am now, injured and fat and out of shape, having to train with other people and being like the one huffing, puffing fatty who can't keep up.
So I have a little bit of personal input on this. So I went to, as the time of this video is on stream, right? I took a vacation, quote unquote, to go to SCA Uprising in Rigby, Idaho. I mean, it's a public event. I'm not, I had to travel for it. I'm not, it's whatever. You can't dox me from that. So when I went up to this event, you know what I saw a lot of? So when I went up to this event, and I talked to a few people about it. Most of it was just people that honestly we're just kind of tired, and everyone was just it was hot up there. Don't get me wrong, it was like above 90 every single day and hot, like dry. So yeah, we had people sitting around in their campsites, and the odd couple people walking across the the sunny area to get to whatever encampment they needed to go to. We had one person who couldn't fight because they got, I think it was like a severe foot injury or something like that, like a severe injury. And they were coming, and his wife told him he couldn't fight. But you know what he did? He still came. He came for the experience. He came because there were old friends that he wanted to meet. I haven't been doing it that long. I really haven't. And I hardly go to SCA as is anymore because of scheduling, but also just because it's hot and other life factors, right? But I mean, I do like the people locally. I don't have the history of everyone else that these people have, you know. We had a person who had was mostly blind in one of his eyes, right? But insurance wasn't going to take over because he technically wasn't fully blind, so it was an insurance issue, right? And I mean, like, you know, they're up there. Are they peak fitness? Are they peak physical health? Are they peak anything like that? No. A lot of them are even older. You know, you're looking at people in their 50s, 60s, maybe up to 70s. I mean, depends on, you know, depending on who it is, right? There's been people that have been doing this for decades. And you know what? As long as they get out there and do what they can, they're happy. You don't have to be this apex soldier. You don't have to be the best warrior out there. If anything, something that I learned from SCA is that practice, you don't count the wins in practice. It's practice for a reason, right? So you go there, yeah. You go. I go to practice. You know, I'm using a longsword and rapier. I'm already at the disadvantage, but I have fun doing it, right? I have fun using a longsword and rapier because, damn it, I have fun using that longsword. I'm very German in the way I move, and it's fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. But you recognize, especially against dual sword, I'm at a distinct disadvantage. And you know what? I have fun when I'm out there and doing combat. You know, I didn't go yesterday because we're doing reduced armor because of the heat. I don't want to be out in the heat. Perfectly reasonable in my opinion. He doesn't have to be. You don't have to be the best one out there, Skallagrim. If you need to go there, even just to socialize and just to move, just to get the motions down, right? Maybe you go there to de-stress, right? You know, you have the person saying, "Hey, Scott, come on, let's go over here," and then you do a few passes. And those few passes are what gets you to clear your mind and to even relax to a degree, right? Because you're clearly passionate about what you do. Maybe that's all you need. Once again, I don't know him. I feel like I'm going to be, you know, it's inappropriate for me to comment on what he does need. What I am saying is, I get it. These are reasons that I have gone to SCA. These are reasons that I have seen other people do this. I've seen other people not in the peak physical form of their life doing this. But you know what? They enjoy it, and that's honestly enough for them. You know, I'm sure he's considered all this, just my 2 cents.
I've been through that. That's been the start of the previous phase, and I hated every minute of it. But I've had 3 years to do it on my own. I failed. I can't do it. So clearly I need help. If there's anybody in Nova Scotia, in the general Halifax area, who is willing to train with me, who ideally already knows what they're doing, let me know. You can contact me in the About section on my channel page.
This is perfect. This is perfect. Not in some weird YouTube drama kind of way. This is perfect. You're in a spot in your life. How do you get out? Right? Life is closing in around you. Your anxiety's flaring. How do you get out of this? Hey, I need some help. That is the healthy response. That is how adults communicate and how adults work through problems. This is perfect. This is way better than any of these weird people in the comments that just come in just to throw shit, right? Anything that they could bring. Anything that they're going to bring to the table, right? They're toxic. I mean, they're just going to go about their lives, you know, whatever capacity they're going to be, right? This is how adults handle things. This is how adults get together. This is how progress is made. This is exactly how this works.
There isn't really a whole lot of incentive because I would get more out of it than you do. It's a selfish request. I realize that, but quite frankly,
not really.
With the way YouTube has been going, I can't afford to hire a personal trainer.
No.
That's just not happening. That's how things have been going. I generally try to not talk about these things because, as you can tell, I work myself into a frenzy, going on a real emotional rant, and it just comes across as whining and, you know, yeah, it kind of sucks, but...
This didn't come across as whining. If anything, this came across as venting in a healthy and constructive manner. There's a difference between venting, whining, and bitching. If you're hearing someone, if someone is venting and they're bitching about it, right? I don't want to be part of that conversation. They're just bitching. They're just whining. This is not. Okay, like, the reason why is that he's searching. Skallagrim is searching for progress. How do I make this better? What can I do to change this? Is anybody willing to help me? Is anybody willing to help me train with me? Is anybody willing to, work with me on this? How can we make this situation better? How can I make this situation better? If he came into the video and was just like, oh, F these comments, the comments don't get me, they don't get my life, I'm still doing this, but, F these comments, okay. What are you going to do about it, though, right? In this hypothetical scenario, it's just venting to bitch. In this, it's venting in a constructive and healthy way, to seek a resolution, right? That's the difference here. There's a difference between venting and bitching. And honestly, even just addressing at the start of a conversation, if somebody starts, are we venting or are we bitching, right? Are we venting did you want a solution or you just need to vent, right? Sometimes even just getting that clarification off the bat will help a conversation immensely.
I literally don't know what else to do because, I can't do it on my own, quite clearly. Yeah. I keep getting offers from people who offer to do editing, but for one, I can't afford to hire somebody at this point.
Feel that.
Two, every time I've tried it, which is a couple of times, I made changes anyway because I wasn't happy with how it turned out. Three, editing is actually not the worst part. Yes, it's very time consuming, but I don't really mind it all that much.
Right.
What I mind and what I'm terrible at is the marketing side of things.
Yeah, I feel that.
Promoting yourself and, researching statistics and checking what's the current trend and what performs best and what works best with the algorithm. I despise that. I just want to...
I think there's a time and a place, right? Because as somebody that does content creation full time at this point, right? This is something that I look into as well. This is something that I look into. What's trending? What's going to grab people's attention? Oh, new Martin Cedar Pants video came out. I want to get on, and I actually I like Martin Cedar Pants video. So I mean, it's a win-win, right? But at the same time, there's crap that I want to do, right? React to like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon stuff, right? Do I think those are going to get thousands and thousands of views? No, not really. It's something that I want to do, though. Something I've kind of just like, look, I want to do this. I would like to explore this more, right? I get where he's coming from in terms of, you want to look at the latest trends and stuff. But at a certain point, it kind of just lacks soul and feeling, if that makes sense. Like, you're just chasing trends to chase trends. It's kind of like how drama tubers, like people on YouTube that their whole thing is drama, is when the drama goes away, what do they have left? Right? What happens if, people start making amends, people get healthier, right? They're out of a job, right? I don't know. That's just my own 2 cents on the matter. No, he's absolutely right in this one, and I definitely can empathize with this.
Do my thing. So I could use help with that, but then again, I can't really offer much. So, yeah. Thanks for listening to this.
Sometimes you don't need to. I mean, honestly, chat, how many people of you have heard of Skallagrim before this video? I mean, or even have maybe heard about him in passing, right? I mean, I would say Skallagrim is a pretty well-known name on YouTube, right? In regards to this specific sphere, which I like being in, right? I'm sure there's people that are going to watch this that maybe haven't seen Skallagrim, or maybe they've heard of him, maybe they haven't heard of Skallagrim, and like, oh, now there's a new person. I mean, part of why I do React content is, hey, have you seen this cool person? Have you seen this? You should go check them out, right? You should go check out this person, because this person's cool, and they do the thing. It's why I like doing React content. Because you get to recommend cool people, and you get to reach a new audience. So honestly, if you haven't seen Skallagrim, I'll also recommend him. Like, I mean, I have no issues reacting to his content. I think he's great. And I think this is a great video. I think this is done in a very professional manner.
No idea how you made it through all this. Overly long. 38 minutes. I'm going to have to try to edit this down. Back to the regular schedule. I'll keep making videos as best I can. I'll try to keep them as entertaining and informative and as engaging as I'm able to. If that's not enough, then guess I'll die.
Well, I've now redoubled my efforts. When you've struggled and failed so many times for so long, you stop believing that's even possible. You stop believing in yourself. I'm going to make yet another earnest push. And the way I'm feeling now tells me that, yeah, maybe I haven't been trying hard enough, because this sucks even more.
just don't hurt yourself, okay? That's the big one, especially in training. Don't hurt yourself, because if you push yourself too hard and you injure yourself, you'll be out. You'll be out for a while. It's from experience, it's not worth it personally. But that is just a recommendation. I can at least say on that part, I can empathize with that. I have pushed past my limits in a very negative manner, and I've been out for longer than it took to actually do things, so I made negative progress. Really, at the end of the day, just do what you can, and don't hurt yourself, please. This is an excellent video. I'm actually really happy that you ended up talking about this, not that because you're going through this, right? And I'm sorry that you're having to go through this, but because that we need to be having these conversations. We need to be setting examples of this is how you ask for help in a healthy and constructive manner. And I can't praise you enough for this. So thank you, Skallagrim. I hope things get better. I'm sorry you've been getting a lot of these nasty messages, and I do hope that they stop, as they should. Because, I mean, what do these commenters know, right? What do those commenters that are slinging shit at you, what do they know? But that's my 2 cents. Definitely, I would recommend, if you haven't, go check him out. Skallagrim's an excellent person. I've heard of them for years. I used to have roommates who watched him a lot, and I can't recommend him enough.